Well, welcome everybody back to the Figure Kit Garage. Once again, Brent Krug on Work in Progress for Millicent Patrick, Skin Tones Part 2. I tried shooting this video last night, but unfortunately we lost power for a little over 2 hours, and so this is my second go at it. We had begun doing the pastels into the shadow areas of her face. I'm using Pan Pastel's Burnt Sienna. I want to go with a really softer tone for her face, nothing real harsh. And we'll proceed on that once again. Let me zoom in here. There we go. They are very pigment-rich pastels, so oops. Keep her focused in camera here. Do just a little light blending, softer brush. Looks a little bit harsh now, but once I get it blended back all the way, it'll look really, really good. Some of this into the ears. Excess I don't want anywhere. Take a kneadable eraser, and you can do this with any pastel that you use. Kneadable eraser will help you get rid of any mistakes rather quick. Hope everybody is enjoying their weekend. This is my final day off before I return to work. get in the eye sockets. Very gentle fade in the eye socket. I'm going a little bit harsher than normal because what I'm going to do is use the colorless blender to blend it back a little bit. It'll soften the overall harshness of the pastel itself, but it will leave a good amount of the color behind. So it looks light. Yeah, it's going to look harsh until I blend it back even more. But that's okay. Doesn't look that bad on that one. May not have to use the blender on that after all. Hard to see this crease line in the neck. She doesn't have a whole lot of areas for shadows. Very smooth skin, no wrinkles in the forehead, so presents a little bit of a challenge to put depth in the skin without it, but we'll manage. Yeah, I'm hoping the power don't go out on me tonight. If it does, I'm going to be really upset. That might be a warning sign. Stop doing this kind of thing. Let's hope not. So now I'm going to stop with that. I actually do have to do her right hand because I want to do this all at the same time as much as I possibly can do. like I'll wind up misting the base flesh tone back over this. Soften them up even more. And skin tones, like everything else, back and forth process. I apologize if I'm not talkative. See, the pastels are starting to set in rather nicely. Didn't want to go too dark on her. Darker shadows would look way too harsh. I'd rather shadows on a lady's face be a lot softer, more than anything else. once I push all these shadows back. Debating on whether I should push them back with a base coat or go in with that colorless blender. Thinking I might just use the regular base tone to push them back and make them look more natural, because that colorless blender will actually wipe them out quite a bit. That's where we are with her shadows at the moment. They look pretty harsh, but once they get pushed back, it'll all start to tie in together. Then I'll come in with the highlights. And matter of fact, I'm going to seal this off. Krylon matte. Then we'll come back and do the highlights. Be right back. Alright, we're back, and as you can see, I've got all the shadows in, nicely softened, not nearly as harsh as they were, and that comes from a combination of spraying the deep natural skin tone, misting it from about a foot or so away, and using the colorless blender from Pan Pastels. It actually blends things back really nicely, softens everything up. I like the way that looks as a nice natural transition. Head in the right direction. So now I'm going to take this burnt sienna tint, which is a very, very light tone. I'm going to dab it down the bridge of her nose. You can see it's a very, very light tone. Fade that back just a little bit. You see it leaves a decent highlight at the bridge of the nose. And with the colorless blender, I'll fade that back so it's not so bright. I will admit I did some of the reworking of the skin off camera. There's a very harsh highlight across the bridge of her nose. We'll go across the very top of the chin. Fade that in a little bit. And she has very pronounced cheekbones, that big smile of hers. Readjust the light a little bit. There we go. can see there's a nice, decent highlight on that left cheekbone. Same thing on the left side, or right side, excuse me. Gently fade that back. Definitely gonna have to get some highlights on her forehead, but I'm gonna take the colorless blender. I'm gonna start to fade those highlights down just a little bit. Excuse me. Well, the highlight is still there. Maybe look harsh on camera, but it's actually faded back quite a bit. I reworked the shadows in the corners of the eyes because I thought they looked way too harsh, and I missed it over with a deep natural skin tone, and it just was not fading the way I had hoped. So I apologize for not showing you guys that. Get the top of the chin. Now she's starting to get a little bit more life, a little bit of brightness in her face. Starting a nice transition. Seeing a tint. I'm not doing it as harsh as on the cheekbones or the bridge of the nose. It'll be just a very gentle highlight. And then although it is hard to see, that highlight is there. This stuff blends back very nicely. Alright, so now I'm going to mist that over. I'm going to seal it off, then come back and mist it over with the Deep Natural Flesh Tone, and it should push it back just enough to make it look alright. Alright, we're back. And after misting her over with the Deep Natural and flat sealing her, it actually blended the cheekbones and the bridge of the nose and the top of the chin really, really nicely. The highlight's there, but it's just barely noticeable. So what I'm going to do now is mist her over with gold toner, and normally this would be a Garage Kits US gold toner, but unfortunately my original bottle of gold toner from Garage Kits US went bad about a month ago, and I had to look for a suitable substitute. So I found Jim Allred, not to be confused with John Allred. JimAllredTaxidermy.com has the Hydra Mist Acrylic Gold Toner, which is the exact same thing as the Garage Kits US Gold Toner. Stuff goes on transparent, but it's going to add a warmth to her skin. I'm not going to do it to the right hand yet because I still have the veins to do on the top of her hand. So before I warm the skin up on the hand, I've got to do the veining on that. My bottle leaked. Not good. Yeah, you can either get the gold toner either in Hydro Mist Lacquer or Hydro Mist Acrylic. And this is the exact same formula from Garage Kits US. So I'm going to mist this off camera real quick. And if you're not careful, you can go seriously overboard with this and turn your kit from a natural flesh tone to a very unnatural suntan orange, which is what we don't want. Let that sit for a minute or two. I'll probably have to apply another round of that. Looks like it's doing its job, warming the skin tone up a little. Let's sit and dry, and we'll see what we get once it's settled. May have to go in with another pass or two. Looks like it's trying to take effect, but it may take a little bit more than normal. But it's starting to warm the skin up quite nicely, actually. Once it dries down, it should settle very well, very well. Figure out why this bottle's leaking on me and from where. One more pass. No, she doesn't look nearly as pale. Yeah, that should do it. So now, the skin tone doesn't look nearly as pale as it did before. It might be hard to see on camera, but it does have a much warmer look to it. And now I'll be able to go in and do washes. That'll look really, really good. You're gonna warm the skin up quite nicely. Go seal her off and we'll be back. Alright, we're back. She's been flat sealed after the gold toner, and her skin tone is much warmer Not nearly as pale. Really starting to like the turn that this is taking. I'm going to take this Burnt Sienna Extra Dark pastel. I'm going to go along the edges of her hairline just to see how well this skin tone is going to look. It'll give me kind of a rough idea. How good of a job I did or did not do. Looks like it's going to be perfectly fine. Yeah, that gold toner warmed up that skin really, really well. So I'm happy with how that turned out. So yeah, the Hydra Mist gold toner is basically a great substitute for the Garage Kit US. I know Jesse's been out of it for a while, and that's not his fault. Everybody's had supply chain problems left and right, so nothing wrong with finding something that works. Yeah, I think against that skin tone, that dark auburn hair color that I'm going to use for her is going to work out really well. This just takes a lot of time to get right. It gives a nice, decent shadow along the hairline. The cheekbones are still highlighted. I can see them quite well. It's just that colorless blender does exactly what it says it's going to do. It blends everything back. So the shadows aren't nearly as harsh as they were. You know, very nice, very soft skin tone. I like the way she looks. That's how the hairline's going to look once I get the pastels put on. And it'll leave a very soft transition from skin line to hair. I don't want to go too harsh with it because I don't want it to look like mud. But this extra dark burnt sienna actually does the trick quite well. When I looked for these pastels on Amazon, they were all out of raw umber and pan pastel. So these pastels are incredibly popular. They're not cheap in any way, shape, or form, but they are very, very worth the price you pay for what you get. I've used Reeves and at least one other type of pastel that worked all right, but some of the cheaper pastel brands are not as pigment rich as these are. They hold their color quite nicely. And the fact that they actually come with a colorless blender, that was a really nice surprise. Fade that back. Yeah, that's gonna excuse me. Yeah, it's going to look really nice for the hair transition. Almost makes me wish her head was a separate piece, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. Just a lot of masking when it comes time to do the shirt. As well as the jacket or her overcoat is going to be, I'm going to have to mask off a lot with liquid latex, because that'll be an absolute necessary evil in the hairline so far. There's a little bit of a darkness to the skin right where the hairline starts. I was hoping to get the shirt done this weekend, but sadly the power outage we experienced really that put the kibosh on that idea real fast. Still not sure exactly what caused that. I was supposed to get a notification back from Southern California Edison, and as I should have known, I didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this. I'll finish up the hairline and we'll look at it when it's completed. Okay, and we're back. It has been a few days since I've recorded. When we left off, I was really happy with the way Millicent skin tones had started to look, and I was going to come back out here, and my body finally said, "You've had enough. Go to bed." So I did. And I guess being in my 50s now, I guess I'm not allowed to run my body down like I'm in my 20s anymore. But that's all right. Plenty of time for painting. Anytime I can try to get out here. I did a little bit of tweaking with her skin tones. Went back over with the natural skin tone instead of the deep natural, and a gentle mist from a little bit closer this time with the gold toner. And her skin tones have turned out a lot better than I hoped for. The highlights are even more pushed back, but they're still there. And I blocked in her hair with Stynylrez Red Brown Primer, and I'm liking the way that her skin is starting to look against that hair tone. So we're going to leave that as is, but we're going to start doing a few washes with some red, purple, and a little vein blue green, especially on her right hand. The hand turned out exactly the way I was wanting it to. Looks really, really good. But I'm going to add some more depth and detail. I'm even going to put the red and the whites of the knuckles on her right hand. A lot of people don't do that, but it's something that I've began doing a lot of my kits. I think it adds a little bit more realism to it, and I'm kind of a stickler for that thing, so I'm just going to go with what I know. So we're going to start off with this inner mouth flesh. This is part of the Riojas paint line from Comart Medea. And I'll zoom in a little bit. Just a little bit of that. And where's my airbrush thinner? There it is. So now that the weather's starting to cool down a little bit, it won't be so bad working out here like it was the last time I was out here. But I was quite literally sweating. And it was only in the low 80s, and I was sweating to death in this garage. So now that that temperature change has started happening, it'll be a lot better. Use a different brush than that. Start with a little wash around the cheek area. This is not a really bright red. It is almost a pinkish red tone. I'm going to build that color up very, very slowly as I do this. I don't want to go in too heavy or go too light. It may have been a little bit too thick than I wanted. Came out a little bit darker on the right side than the left. Okay, that evened that out just right. Matter of fact, I'm going to thin that down just a little bit more. Go up here alongside the bridge of the nose. It's very subtle, but it's actually starting to add a little bit more of a reddish tone in the skin. Nothing that stands out a whole heck of a lot, but I just want it to be very subtle, very smooth. With no hard edges. Glad to see the first video generated a really good response. I'm very appreciative of everybody that has jumped in and subscribed recently. Trying to keep these videos to as small a running time as I can possibly get. It's starting to build up that color kind of nice. Go with some distilled water, just a little bit. Try to fade that down even more. It might be a little bit too harsh. Huh? Actually doesn't look too bad. Let's see here. Oh yeah, that'll work. Just has the right amount of red tone right on the cheeks. Might be a little bit hard to see because of the camera flare, or not camera flare, but the lights. It's actually coloring those cheeks in the way that I want them. Through a lot of these damn cotton swabs, but for something like this, that is bound to happen. Oh yeah, it looks good. Okay, now I want to come in and do a little underneath the eye line. Not very much. Just a little bit. It'll take me a few passes to get the right reddish tone on the lower eyelid that I'm looking for. But once I do, that's where I'll stop, and then after that I'll go back in with a little bit of purple over that same red area. That's turning out the way I'm hoping. Perfect. Hold her away from the light. Yep, that's just enough. Found a little bit of a hard edge line last time I washed over her cheeks with this. I don't want it to look like she got beaten up. this around the edges of the ears. Should be good on that. Now that that's done, reload all my Q-tips now that I've got paint all over them. It happens. This is where we're at on her skin. I know the red's very hard to see, but it's very subtle, not really harsh. And that's exactly what I want. So liking the way that transition's going. So now I'm going to come in with Comart Medea's Transparent Violet. Excuse me. And we'll do the exact same thing with that color. That'll be decent. It's a little bit too heavy purple right in that one little spot. I didn't want to look like she had a black eye. That's better. Do some additional purple tinting in other spots on her skin, because not everything is just simple red skin tones or vein blue green. There are multiple shades and multiple colors under the skin. Sorry for the camera bump. Sorry for taking that off camera. A little bit of a problem with that one spot that I just did. So I just took some Vallejo airbrush thinner and I'm gently tapping around the areas that look like they're going to be really hard edge. I'm just fanning them out little by little. Little edge right there. The thing about washes is once you get that wash on that skin, if you have a hard edge, it's really hard to get off if it sets up too fast. So you want to have as thin a mixture as you can get. Not always easy to do because you got to be quick about what you're doing. Sorry, I had to grab something to drink real quick. Our skin tone's looking really, really good. Held away from the light source. It looks very natural. Really starting to take shape. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. So now we'll do the vein blue green around the temples a little bit. I need to clean that out. And if you haven't done so, go check out Model Club TV on YouTube. I always leave the YouTube links and the Facebook and the links for Facebook in the comments down below. Scott Johansson and Jason Walker, two really great people that love this hobby a lot, doing a lot to keep it going. Although I will admit it took me by surprise that Mr. Johansson mispronounced the name of this channel on this latest episode. Call it the Figure Model Kit Review. Sounded like he got stumped on what my channel was named. You know, I guess I could, you know, call that one the that Model TV Club thing. But I won't. It's Model Club TV. I gotta bust Scott's chops, because if I don't, nobody else will. Well, somebody will. So I'm really liking how her skin tone is turning up. Use my vortex mixer really quick, so I apologize for the noise. Vein blue green I'm just going to do in very, very small spots. This is going to be heavily thinned down. Oh, there's my distilled water. And we're just going around the temples, the upper part of the forehead, up in that area. To pause for a minute, I got a message. I thought it was my stepdaughter. She needed me to pick her up from work, but no, it was something else. So, oops. I mean to smudge that in there like that. Just enough of a blue-green tint to look like there's veining underneath the skin, which is what I want. Apparently I don't have to go pick up my stepdaughter after all. She's home early. Oh shit, it's 2 o'clock. And with the brightness of my lights, it's going to be kind of hard to see where some of this wash is going to be, but that's actually a good thing because I want it to be subtle. I don't want it to stand out a whole heck of a lot. And I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. I'm going to go check on her, make sure she was okay. Get a little bit further down than I wanted. That'll work like that. Some of that okay, we're back once again. My stepdaughter just needed to step out here and grab something, so I had to give her a hand with it. And with the purple and the vein blue green, except for that one little spot right on her eyelid. There we go. Really liking the way the face is taking shape. I'm going to do one more set with the red, and that's going to be along the side edges of her nose. Very, very gentle. Just right like that, nothing real overstated. Just going to very gently push that back. Let that dry. I'll go in and do the other side. A little bit of red on the side of the nose. Brings that to life even more. Really liking the way she's turning out. A lot. Gotta love Jeff Yeager sculpting, I'll say that much. I seem a little bit off to do this. Just a little bit to the front of the nose. Help warm that area up even more. Not trying to make her look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but it'll actually warm those areas up that where a lot of blood will flow because she's smiling. Yeah, it looks really good. Now the redness in her skin is not overly pronounced, and I don't want it to be. I just want it to have that gentle red discoloration. Not too overpronounced. Subtle to almost near invisible. You may not be able to see it on camera, but it is there. It does exist. That looks really good. So yeah, it's got a lot of life in that face now, especially in the cheekbones, up around the bridge of the nose. Really brings that out nicely. Turned out to be quite a beautiful lady. So now I'm going to come in on the hand. I'm going to do the vein blue-green for the veins on top of her hand. I'm really going to do this lightly as much as I possibly can. Took almost all the wash off of the brush. Because I want the skin tone showing through more than anything else. One time I used to be terrified of doing washes because I wasn't sure if I could ever get the technique down correct. And the old time, patience, and practice routine actually paid off quite well. As it always does. And doing it the way that I'm doing it, I won't have to reapply any base flesh tone color at all. So I'm sorry I'm doing that off camera. Damn, I didn't realize it. Those veins in her hands being too pronounced. That's one of the extremely subtle. Kind of like so. Might look a little bit harsh on camera, but they are very, very transparent. There's not a lot of blue-green. It's more flesh tone than anything else. All I did was get a majority of the wash off of my brush and just gently went over the top, and that turned out absolutely perfect. Let's see how that's going to look on the body. Oh yeah, that's going to look just right. So there we have Let me zoom out a little bit. Now we have a really nice vein blue-green tone with more of the skin tone showing than anything else. Looks really, really good. This beautiful lady's coming along quite nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flat seal her hand as well as her head. Yeah, that looks really sharp. And then I'm going to come in and start blocking in the eyelashes as well as the lips. I still got to figure out how I want to do her lips, if I want to do it a bright red or a deep red with white highlights. I might do that. Might look a lot better. And then I'll start blocking in her eyes. I'm not going to do anything glossy until the very end of this because I'm going to be using a lot of flat sealer. So I do not want to have to go back and start re-glossing everything after I just flat sealed it. Doesn't make sense. So I'm going to pause this and we'll be right back. Alright, one step that I did skip is doing the redness in the knuckles. And I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. My fine line brushes here. Never have too many of these fine line brushes, I guess. So we're going to start with the actual whites of the knuckles themselves. I'm going to use this Riojas vein flesh tone. I'll discolor the skin just enough. If you look at your knuckles when you flex your hand, you have a little bit of a yellowish white discoloration. So that's what I'm going to put in. Just to give a little more added realism. Not everybody has to do this, but it's something I prefer doing. You can see it kind of discolors the skin. See if I can zoom in on that and get that to look a lot better. Kind of discolors the skin a little bit yellow. once I get this set in, I'll have to flat seal it again and then go back in with the ear and mouth flesh and the creases. And around the tops of her knuckles as well, on the top of her hand. This is an optional step that I choose to do. Started doing this with the Pure in Heart Lon Chaney Jr. bust years ago. It was the first time I tried it, and I actually like the way that it looks, so I started doing it almost every kit that I've done since. Excuse me. Flat seal that, we'll come back and we'll put the red in. Alright, now for the last part of this, my fine line brush out. We're going to go in with the red. put that on yellow on a little bit too thick, so I'm going to go back over that with a very super thin wash of the natural flesh tone to push that yellow color back down. That way it'll put it more under the skin than anything else. Kind of look we're going for. Like I said, that yellow is just a little bit too much. I'll wash over that and then I'll push it back underneath and it'll look more natural. finish the rest of this off camera. We'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, we're back one last time, and I went over the whites of the knuckles with the Lifelines Natural as a wash, and it pushed that color back considerably. So I'm going to seal this off. I'm going to call this video done. Next round, we are going to block in the eyebrows with pastels, get the eyelashes done, get the whites of the eyes blocked in, and get the lips and the teeth done. And then I'll probably do the pearl necklace and earrings off camera, because that's going to be a lot of tedious work. And then that should be the end of that. I will do the hair after I get the shirt base coated and highlighted. It's going to be a lot easier for me to put brown over blue than it will be blue over brown, especially with the shade of blue that I'm going to use on her shirt. It's going to be a fairly medium light shade, and I really do not want to try painting that over a dark brown. But the way the skin tones have turned out thus far, I'm really happy. Her face looks absolutely beautiful. Nice color, very warm tone. Shadows look incredible. The hands look great. I'm really happy with the way this is turning out. I promise you next time, there'll be a lot more progress. Eyes, eyebrows, teeth and lips, and then we start in on that shirt. And that shirt's going to be a little bit of work, because I'll have to mask off all of her skin and a lot of the jacket with liquid latex to mask that off, but that's the way this hobby goes. So for this episode of the Figure Kit Garage, work in progress number 2 on the Millicent Patrick kit. Everybody stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe, build a kit.